The debut book by Diego the Podcaster, I Remember the Crib, delves into one man's extraordinary encounters with the strange and paranormal. Diego the Podcaster takes readers on a journey through a collection of short real-life stories that unveil his untold experiences. Diego offers a unique glimpse into a life filled with inexplicable events that have remained a secret until now. The readers are invited to explore the mysteries and wonders that have shaped Diego's existence, that gave birth to his podcast, Let's Find Out with Diego. Available now on Amazon Kindle. Published by Zombie Media.
Tonight, greetings, fellow travelers. As the week reaches its thrilling midpoint, we are broadcasting from the mountains of West Virginia. Embrace the spirit of adventure as you join us on this daring journey through the untamed wilderness of Let's Find Out with Diego. Bonus Overdrive Wednesday.
It's time to find out with Diego. Let's go. Ooh, yeah.
On this episode of Bonus Overdrive Wednesday, our guest is the founder of Eastern Ghost Cat Research, where she brings a wealth of expertise to the study of mountain lion sightings in Maine and other eastern states, where the presence of these big cats is often questioned due to their supposed extinction. Through the collection of sighting reports, newspaper articles, and engaging with eyewitnesses, she works to shed light on the mystery surrounding these elusive creatures. All this plus more. Please welcome to Bonus Overdrive Wednesday, our good friend, our great friend, Gene Tewksbury. Gene, my friend, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
I'm so happy to have you on this show because I had you last year on Let's Find Out, and we talked about a lot of things with big cats and also cryptids, but today we're gonna limit it to talking about the Eastern Ghost Cat Research because you've changed a few things in your life, and then now this is what you're really focusing on, and it's a great thing because every once in a while I come upon your Facebook page and I'm always learning something. So we're gonna hopefully share some of your knowledge with our listeners tonight. So let's begin like this. When we're talking about big cats here, at least in the United States, are we talking cougars and pumas, right? Is that basically, are they kind of the same thing?
They are exactly the same thing. They're called mountain lions, catamounts, pumas, panthers, American lions, cougars. They've got over 40 names, and that doesn't even include the Native American names for them.
And when we're talking about the same creature, because they come in kind of a lot of different colors and sizes too, but all puma, because what is it in is it in Africa or South America where they're like basically black or almost so black they look purple?
No, in South America they're more of a grayish color. Their faces are different. I started a group last year called the Eastern Ghost Cat Research, and it was kind of to give people a space where they could talk freely about their sightings, because a lot of the groups that are out there, there's so much negative feedback. People don't like to speak about these. And yes, I understand that 80% of the sightings that are reported are misidentifications, but there's still a large percentage that aren't, and people, I want them to feel like they have a safe place to discuss what they've seen or think they've seen. And with that being said, it's just, I like to use that platform as well to educate on different stuff. And one of the posts that I did was the differences. You can tell the difference between a puma, as you call them, from South America and North America. There is a distinct difference, like the faces around her, they're a little bit more pudgier in South America, as they're not so much here. And yes, the coloring's different all over. They're mainly, most people will report what they call tawny brown. It's a tannish brown. They say a tawny color, but there's also ones that are more, they can be reddish brown, they can be gray, they can be a lot of different stuff. There have been reports of black ones, but there has yet to be one that scientists have actually seen this guy. And when they're black, they have a condition called they're melanistic. which means the fur is all black. That usually happens with like leopards and jaguars. And that usually is the two cats. And you can actually see the spots that they carry underneath the black fur, because the spots will be a darker black.
It's kind of interesting because as you're talking about that, I picture in my mind, and I don't know, we grew up in around the same era where a lot of fantasy art were drawing these cats, but they were, using the black color. Because I think because they're so rare and almost kind of fantasy related, they started using kind of like if you watch He-Man when evil enters into so I think we know, and it's kind of one of those things where your expertise, you can tell the differences with these. I'm going to use the term big cats for the whole time. If you that way,
big cats is fine. Yes,
perfect. Kind of like how people can tell the difference between or among crocodiles, caimans, and alligators. There are certain features in their faces or how their teeth are that gives them away. It's like, oh, that's definitely a this, that's definitely a that. Interestingly enough, I started looking into this, there's a lot of, I'm not going to say a divide. It's almost kind of silly in a way where when there's a sighting in a certain state, people say, you're crazy, they're not from here. Why would it be impossible for a big cat to be in any state?
It's not, because these cats, and back in the earlier 2000s, there was actually a mountain lion killed in Connecticut. A gentleman wrote a book, it's called Heart of the Lion. That cat was 3 years old. It left South Dakota at a year and a half, because when when the young males get to be a certain age, usually about a year and a half, they the moms kind of disperse and leave them to do their own thing. And this cat was looking for his own territory. Their territory can be up to a 200-mile radius, and it can be as small. Well, the Wyoming U.S. Wildlife Services say up to 25, but there was one in California that actually had an 8-mile radius that he lived in for over 10 years. But they can be very small, but they do like a larger one. And if there's males in it, they got to keep moving. And this cat actually traveled for a year and a half and reached Greenwich, Connecticut before it was hit by a car. And it didn't make it. It did die, but they were able to accumulate, scat samples and different things from other states to know where it had come from, to realize that it actually came from South Dakota. So you got to think, if these animals are breeding in these areas and there's large amounts, they're going to start moving east. Okay. And then you also have the ones that are pets or illegal pets. I know in our state, we have a sanctuary that's got, we got Dew Haven that has a couple cougars in that one, are big cats. It also has lions and tigers as well. But they actually, I went to visit them last year, and one that they had, he was 6 months old when I went to go see him. They call him Loki. He actually was purchased from Ohio. That's how they got a hold of him and brought him in and stuff. And then we have the Maine Wildlife Park in Gray. They have a few too. And was speaking with the state biologist, which I think we covered last time I talked with you. I had a lengthy conversation. There are people that actually have them as pets, a few, not many. You get that. But I have to say, though, in this state, there's never been any sieged as illegal pets. But it does happen. In 2020 during COVID, there was one that was seized in New York City, I believe, in Brooklyn. Somebody had an 8-month-old one in an apartment building. They had to step in and take it. In Long Island, somebody had a 4-year-old tiger, and they ended up having to take that, and somebody else had an alligator. So, I mean, it's not uncommon for that to happen, although in 2023, they did pass the big cat law, which is a ban. You're not allowed to have them as pets anymore or to purchase them. They're not to be sold or traded or, stuff like that. There are grandfather laws for people who have them as pets, but it's illegal now to purchase them. They're supposed to be. I mean, you can probably, if you got the money, you could probably still do it, but.
I mean, if you have the money, you can do pretty much a lot of things if you have that kind of money. But here's what I don't understand, and I understand people want their freedom and they can have whatever pet they want, but there's a certain element of danger when you're trying to raise, I'm going to say a tiger or a lion, or even if you a crocodile or an alligator. There's a certain element of danger there where is it really worth it having this as a pet? I mean, it's almost cruel in a way to the animal, but you're kind of taking your life into your own hands in that way.
Yeah, you are. I love these animals. Actually love all animals. In my house, I have all rescues. I have a bunch because I foster for a local reptile rescue. So I have I have a tegu, I have a savannah, I've got beardies, but then I also have my dog and my cats. So I mean, I love all animals, but there's got to be a respect when it's something that wild. And the thing with pumas, with the big cats is even though they are a big cat, they are still classified as a small one because they don't roar like lions, tigers, and jaguars do. They actually purr like a regular house cat. They have some of the same traits. They can be playful. They can be this. And I think sometimes people kind of think, oh, well, hey, I, on my being me, would be kind of like, no. I mean, if I was somebody who did rehabilitation or something for wildlife, that would be a different story. But there's I don't know sometimes what people think when they're get a pet that actually could harm them or do harm to others, because you got to remember that it's wild.
Yeah, and I mean they're not really thinking this, and they're not thinking for the well-being of the animal either. I guess it's kind of one of those bragging rights kind of thing. Hey, I have a tiger as a pet or an alligator. I mean, silly, really, but I mean, I guess that's how we are humans sometimes,
Yeah, it is. I mean, I thought it was funny because when I had talked to my state biologist there, my regional one in my area, I literally said, so if I filled out the paperwork, I could get one as a pet. And he was like, if you filled out the paperwork and had the proper, enclosure. Yeah. To me, that didn't make any sense. If there's a ban on them and you're not allowed, it's illegal to purchase one. How is it possible that I could do this? So I was very confused by that and just found it funny that, people probably still can,
No. I mean, I'm sure there's wiggle room with a lot of these laws where, I can adopt one, but it won't be a pet. But we know what they're trying to do. So with the big cats, because I know where is the largest concentration of them, and what is it that causes them to spread out in the United States? I'm pretty sure it's a food source kind of thing. Is it overdevelopment?
The largest population, it's hard to say because California has a very large population, but so doesn't the state of Washington. Colorado has a very good population as well. And I know it's not the US, but British Columbia does as well. And what it is if if you have cats that are breeding, okay, because like I said, males can have a 200-mile radius, but inside that territory they can have up to 3 females, and the females can overlap, but you can't have a male overlap. And the females actually, when they have kittens, they can have anywhere from 2 to 6. Okay, and they will move their dens around to make sure the males don't, because males will kill they will at times kill the cubs. But the thing with that is once they get to a certain age, they have to move on. So you're trying to find territory. Well, if you've got a large population, you've got to keep moving, so, and that was one of the things that, when I was talking to my state biologist he's like, oh, well, there's no breeding population. We don't have there wouldn't be a pregnant female. And I'm like, if there was a female crossing from one state to the next, they're not going to look and go, oh, it's the state line, I can't go any further. They're going to go until, they find a place that is inhabitable, and stuff. So, and females usually don't go that far. Although last year there was one that was recorded of going like 1,000 miles, which is very rare for a female to do. And that was out west, but yeah.
And is their normal habitat? Do they prefer warmer or colder climates?
And they are the most adaptable animal in the world. They can live in the tropics of South America to Arctic weather in Alberta. I mean, they live in forest areas. They can live in deserts. They can live in wetlands. They can live just about anywhere. They are the most adaptable animal in the world.
And the reason I asked that, and thank you for answering that, because if we're going over to Maine is an interesting state with the seasons, but you all get a ton of snow. And I'm wondering with these sightings with these big cats in Maine, because of the amount of snow, I'm surprised there's sightings there.
Yeah, actually, the easiest time of year to track a big cat is in winter when it snows. It's the easiest time to track them. But because we have big cats, we have the Canadian lynx, we have bobcats and stuff. People sometimes mix up those prints for thinking there's something else, because you can get snow melt and it can make the print look bigger. The thing that I tell everybody when it comes to looking at the tracks is, when it comes to feline tracks like pumas, bobcats, lynx, whatever, all feline prints are symmetrical. And then all canine prints like dogs, wolves, coyotes, all that stuff, they're just symmetrical. So there's a big difference, because they just kind of go up and you've got the claw marks. As with the big cats, they have retractable claws, and you rarely ever, and I mean rarely ever, get them print with a claw mark in it. And they look so much rounder and stuff. So, and they are I was told they're easier to track. I have found bobcat tracks because we have a lot of bobcats in my area. So.
And in comparison with sizes, a bobcat and a puma, is there a huge difference?
There's usually, with bobcat track, it can be 1.5 to 2 inches, lengthwise. And with a mountain lion, it can be anywhere from 3.5 to, and then 5 widthwise. So there is a size difference. There really is.
With 2024, I know we're in 2025, but 2024, it's pretty much not that far away. What sightings have there been lately in your state? Because there aren't a lot, but every once in a while you get a news report, or you see a post on X or on Facebook, somebody saw something. So you mentioned, I was on your page not long ago. In fact, about an hour before I came on with you, you posted something about a Maine lynx, and this is very interesting. So with that, how many different breeds of cats are there in Maine?
In Maine, it's the 3. It's the bobcat, the Canadian lynx, and then pumas. Even though they're said to be extirpated from the state and extinct, there are still reported sightings of them. I mean, there's been some over the last year, but either the picture is extremely blurry, or it looks like it most likely is a house cat. It's hard to tell. I mean, by some of the stuff that's going on, even though the state does get a lot of, even the state biologist was like, there's so many reported sightings and different things. But the thing that he pointed out too, and I did, is it's sad, but even you wouldn't think about it when it comes to these big cats, but there are actually hoaxes that still people put out there as well and stuff. And there's people that will put out these photos going, this was on my trail cam and it's covered by the news. And then you find out, no, it was actually from, British Columbia. And then you see it a couple days later in another state because somebody else reported it was from their trail cam. And it happened again, just a couple weeks ago on one of the Facebook groups. Somebody said that there was this cat, and he had a post, and it was supposed to be in Kentucky or Tennessee. And the picture was actually from Arkansas, and it was a confirmed sighting from Arkansas because, Fish and Game got involved and stuff. And I find that sad because it makes it very hard for people who are looking into it or who have seen one. And then when they try to tell their story, everybody's all, no, you didn't, because, this is, we remember this, and it just puts a stain on stuff.
You're absolutely right, and I know that on this version of the show, I don't really cover much like paranormal or cryptids, but the same thing happens with footage of Bigfoot or paranormal. It's almost like we need somebody out there like Nate Elwell who does the
The
videos where he
breakdowns.
the breakdown. So we need something like a big cat breakdown where it's like, no, you're full of crap because this didn't happen here, and you're hoaxing everybody. So we kind of maybe something for you to do. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. I think we need we need one of those out there, and because you're right, it does hurt the research no matter what field you're in when you have people out there. And I know it's all good fun, but in a way they kind of hurt people who are trying to do the real work like you.
Yeah, it does, and it's sad because I mean, doing that it does make people not want to talk about it, or it makes some people angry, and then that's all they want to do is say, no, this isn't it. You didn't see this. You're crazy, and it causes a lot of conflict, unnecessary conflict.
No, that's true because even it doesn't matter what field you're in. There's even conflict between people and researchers already as there is. When you add the hoaxes, you add these things. It kind of it muddies the water. It kind of hurts the statistics too because that's what we rely on, right? To get the facts to where their breeding grounds are, where the numbers are.
Yes, and that's and with something like this too. I mean, it's just as hard as if I mean, I know that statistically a lot of people do consider these things cryptids, even though there is populations out west. But the thing is these things are so elusive, and they do hide most of the time from people, 98% of the time. And what I try to do with my page is I try to like educate, and it's not just with like the differences, but it's like, in the last 100 years, there's only been 28 fatalities that have dealt with these big cats, and stuff. And you have, some people have better chances of being hit by a bus, the old saying goes, and stuff. And there's a big fear. And I think that's what a lot of the issue is with the subject is there's a big fear when it comes to these big cats because of the fact that, you don't know. They're wild animals, and there is something to fear there. But to me, knowledge, I feel like Schoolhouse Rock here. I'm dating myself. Knowledge is power. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think a lot of that fear also comes from the movies. Every once in a while, you see movies about animals, or when I don't know if you've seen these shows where they have animals caught on tape when they attack people, or you should have a healthy fear of these animals and respect them because you don't really want to mess with them. Let them do their thing. And I don't recommend anybody going out there by themselves to do this research like that. Would you?
No, but then again, I do. So I'm sorry.
Well, not the average Joe Lunch pail, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you're doing the research, it's good. I mean, I do have people, every now and then that will go out with me. I'm very cautious. I do make sure that I'm protected. I don't carry a gun because I prefer not to have to hurt the animal, but I do carry a very nice size machete just in case. But I learned a long time ago when I was doing some other research. I was doing some for a gentleman on his property, and he knew my interest in the big cats, and he made me swear up and down because big cats are sneak attack predators. Okay. They come up from behind. So he always made me promise that when I go out into the woods, and I'm doing my research, that when I have my hat on, I have to wear a pair of glasses on the back, because if you've got glasses on the back of your head, they can't see that it's not, you're not looking at them, but they think you are. So it kind of gives you a little bit of protection there. Not saying that that's the best way to go, but I'm very cautious when I do go out, and I make sure everybody knows, somebody knows where I'm going to be at, when I'll be back. And if I'm not, then they know where to find me, or at least try to, but I haven't had any issues yet.
Oh, good. Now, that's a very smart advice you're given there. And what's the closest you've come to one during this research when you're going out there in the woods? How close have you gotten to one?
I haven't, because I haven't seen one. I've seen the tracks, and I almost hit one with my car. That was back in 2022. but when I did, I was stupid and did not think at the time when I did it. And I will say that I was absolutely stupid because the thing had come out of the culvert area and it was a juvenile, that did. I literally thought I was going to hit a leopard because this thing, the juveniles have got these beautiful black spots in there, this rust color. And the thing was running along the road along the side of my car, and it was going up the hill, and I'm trying so hard not to hit it before it finally decided halfway up the hill it was going to just take this giant leap into the thickets. And I ended up turning my car around and pulling off to the side of the road, and I got out and tried to figure out where it had gone to see if I could get any type of evidence, not realizing because of the age of the cat that mom usually isn't that far off. And I did kind of put myself in a predicament if I had caught up with it or she got to me first, but where it kind of disappeared and I couldn't find it again, I just left and went home, got my stuff, my gear, came back, and I was able to cast the one track that it left in the soft dirt by the culvert before it got onto the road. And I actually showed that to the biologist, and he's like, wow, this is asymmetrical. There's no claw prints. This is awesome. And then when he asked where I got it from, I explained, and that's when he handed it back and said, there's no you're saying breeding population, and there's no breeding population. So I got shut down.
Oh, because seeing is not believing, apparently. Now, well, you know what? I'm going to count that as being close to an experience. I'm going to count that, Gene.
Okay.
I'm counting it because that's, it can't get any closer than that. I mean, you could, but that split second. And
it was more than second.
Least,
I mean, literally, I'm trying not to hit this thing. It was the freakiest thing ever, to have this thing, because I didn't know. I just saw an animal come out. So I slowed right down. And next thing I know, it's running along the side of my car. And I mean, I'm in an area where I came downhill, got to the culvert, and then you've got to go back uphill. And it's a good size hill. And this thing ran up beside my car for, I would say, a good, 40, 50 feet before it decided to jump. So,
wow. And I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you, Gene. To me, no matter what animal's on the road, like a little squirrel, a deer, a bird flying, I'm going to slow down. I always slow down. In this area, not many people do, but I was like, I don't want to hit anything. Not on purpose, at least.
Yeah.
So
no, I'm the same way.
No, it kind of like, what? I would feel terrible if I did. Accidents do happen, though. So now, if I got this right, did you do a presentation not long ago?
I did two last year. I did one for the International Cryptozoology Museums Conference, the back in April, and then I did another presentation in June for the Maine Parafest that my friend Missy was running.
And how did that go? Did you get a lot of questions about the big cats? Because sometimes I don't think, at least I'm one of them, not many people really come close to these creatures.
I was surprised with the one for the museums conference. I had quite a few people. I mean, I had a limited time to talk. I didn't have as much time as the other presenters did. They kind of squeezed me in. So I had a lot of stuff to go over before the end, and I was able to get like a few questions. And I had one gentleman ask me of some of the sightings, because I mean, I try to keep up with the sightings since 1990. And I try to see if there's any patterns to find out if maybe there is a breeding population. I mean, if you've got, clusters of patterns, these pumas, mountain lions, cougars, whatever you want to call them, in the wild, they have about a 10-year lifespan. In captivity, they have a lot longer. But even in the wild, they could have up to 12 or 13 years. And if, you have sightings that happen, so many in a, say a 5-year span in a certain area or something, that may be something, I try to look for like clusters and different things. But one gentleman was like, so you said there was sightings in, this area in down East Maine. And I was like, yes, I have had reporters say, and it made me feel good because like the next day I noticed that on Facebook underneath the conference thing, he was like, everybody told me I was absolutely crazy. And then after listening to Gene talk the cat sightings and the research she's done. He's like, I am adamant that I know exactly what I saw and I am not crazy, you know. And I was like, that's good. I want people to feel comfortable, you know, and stuff.
No, I mean it's a great thing that you're doing. It's almost when people share their experiences and you connect with somebody and they feel pretty good about talking to you. Because, like you said, I thought I was crazy, but now I know for sure what I saw. Which brings me to, I'm going to bring up a listener question, if you don't mind. Where
Sure.
it is a good friend of ours that, you know, I put the post on Facebook and he said, hey, so it comes from our good friend Adam Began. You know, he's almost one of your neighbors up there, and he's asking this: what is the most northern part of Maine you've been for a case?
That would be up in Brownville Junction. I was up there, and I was actually my family went up with me when I did the thing. We did like a family camping trip, and I like to night hike. That's when I like to be out, and my husband does too. So that was really good. We didn't find anything when we were out there, except for a female moose walking up on my husband. I took my daughter at the time to the tree line because I wasn't sure if it was female or male, and I weren't about to get trampled. My husband, of course, doesn't care. You know, he's just like, oh, it's a moose. But yeah, the furthest I've gone in Maine, up north, would be Brownville Junction.
I've never seen a moose in person. I've seen elk. Is that the same thing? So is that the same thing?
No, they're not. They're both big, but no, they're not the same thing.
Okay, I was close enough. You know, I'm almost there. So, and I'm going to ask this question, and it's not going where you think it's going. So don't think I'm trying to be a smart aleck. But when it comes to these big cats breeding, other than human intervention, because I know dogs can breed with other dogs, and you get a version of a combination of like I don't say a Doberman, a German Shepherd, or so on. So many combinations we can have. Other than human intervention with these big cats, can they cross mix? Because I know that a liger, super huge thing. This thing is an amazing looking animal, but I don't know if that was natural or
that was lab. That was lab done. But yeah, I have looked into it because I have always wondered, because even our state biologist will tell you the bobcats, if you think bobcat, you don't think they're very big. Okay. The bobcats in this state are huge. Some of them are absolutely huge. It's kind of scary on how big they are, but it is, scientists will tell you it is scientifically impossible for bobcats, lynx, or pumas to crossbreed. Well, the lynx and the bobcat might, because they're of the same family, but where pumas are bigger, they say no, they can't. But I don't know. I honestly have no idea. Because you know, wolves and dogs, you got you've got coyotes and dogs, you've got wolves and dogs, you know, you've got coyotes and wolves. There's, you know, it's so hard to say no, but from what I have looked into and science, you know, talking with different scientists and stuff, they say it's impossible, but I don't know.
I mean, you know, sometimes I'm not anti-science, but sometimes I think they get stuck on themselves just because they don't see it and think it's possible. But, you know, down the line, sometimes they're proven wrong. So, no, it is possible.
Yeah, I go with my Jurassic Park spew, which is life finds a way.
That's true. I mean, undeniable. Look at the many different species of animals there are now. I mean, one would have said years ago, there's no way. It's like, well, there is a way. You see them right now. So going over to, I mean, there's so much to cover. I got pages here, but I'm gonna spare you the thousands of questions, because we're talking about, I mean, as of 2025. You know, we're talking about mountain lions are primarily found in the western states, occupying a range of habitats, dense forests, arid deserts. But you say that they can pretty much adapt anywhere, right?
Yes.
So does it matter? Is it the environment or is it the food source? Because they're gonna. I mean, if you're hungry enough, you can live anywhere.
They can adapt to the environment, but there would have to be a food source, and their main food source is deer. They can eat anything though, from mice to grouse to turkey, porcupine, anything, but deer is their primary go-to meal. So there would definitely have to be a food source. And this is my theory, and my theory only for my state, is a lot of these sightings that do get reported in the state happen around like marshes, bogs, wetlands type thing. And when I brought that up to my state biologist, he said, oh no, there's no way anything could live in there. Well, for one, they're very adaptable. Two, if you've got a water source, you've got a food source. And the other thing is if you have been hunted to the point of extinction, you're going to hide from what puts you in that position, which is man. And you're going to go to an area where they can't get, you can come out of it, you can go around your territory area, but you're going to make sure that you have a safe zone to get back to that they can't get to. And I was told I was full of it.
No, I mean, that's 100% accurate, because if you were to go into a jungle, right, there's only so far you can get to. Animals can get further than we can.
And it happens that way. I mean, a few years back, it was like 2019. There was like, an old, like Mayan ruin, I want to say. Okay. And it took years for scientists to get there. They rediscovered, a certain bat in there. They rediscovered a beetle. There was some type of snake in there that they all thought was extinct and stuff. And they were hiding away in this, in these ruins and stuff. And it's like, yeah, animals find a way. That's why I keep going to the Jurassic Park thing, life finds a way, you're going to do what you need to do to survive. Just like we would.
Right. And they're a lot smarter than we give them credit for. So don't underestimate any animal.
No.
So for the listeners of Bonus Overdrive Wednesday, let's say they come upon a sighting, or they want to go somewhere to report it, to where they want to make sure they get treated with respect and that they're validated to what they've seen. Where can they go? I know they can go to you, of course, but what would be the best way for them to contact you to send you this information?
They can direct message me. I am through Facebook. I have the group there and stuff on Facebook as well. I do have an email address. It's Tewksbury@gmail.com. Feel free to email me. I would love to hear that, if somebody has had a sighting and stuff. Like I said, I try to stick with Maine, but I have broadened it a bit. I look into like the New Hampshire sightings and Massachusetts. And earlier on we talked, and I do have a ton of sightings from the 1990s and early 2000s from Pennsylvania and New York State and stuff like that. And I network with certain people. We were discussing, Daniel from the ECBR, RO there and stuff. So if anybody wanted to reach me, they can, I've got the group page, the Eastern Ghost Cat Research group on Facebook. They can direct message me through Messenger using the Facebook, or they could email me. I'd be willing to talk to, anybody about their sightings if they wanted to, report it, or even if they just had a story they want to tell and they don't want it, because I try to document sightings if people don't mind. I always ask first, and stuff.
No, that's great. If they're bringing you the information, all the better. And are you planning on doing any more presentations here in 2025?
Yeah, I'm going to be doing one June 7th in Russell, Massachusetts. Friends Tim and Eric Vogel, the Vogel brothers, are hosting, and I will be there giving a presentation on my research there. They asked me to come because it'll cover, cryptids and, paranormal and different things, but they asked me if I would come because with my research, even with like the sightings and stuff, I try to educate and try to get people so that there's a little less fear and a little more knowledge on, the topic. And I do find, and I will say it until the very end, that the late Bruce S. Wright, who was a zoologist for New Brunswick, he wrote some books on the Eastern panthers and stuff, and different things. He used to take all kinds of different reported sightings from Maine and New Brunswick and different areas. But he stated it perfectly. He said, these cats are the exact same thing as West Coast. There's no way to tell the difference. So you can learn a lot from the behaviors of the ones in the Western US and understand a little better. And I do agree with that, so.
Awesome. You're going to be busy this year. And then you mentioned something that your colleague wrote a book. What about you? Are you going to write a book one day? Are you ready for this?
Yeah, I've been asked to do it. I'm going to try to free up some time this year and start doing it. And it will probably just be like around the sightings and stuff within the state and different stuff, that has happened. I like I said, I don't want to kind of go back too far because, history after a while, it just kind of, it repeats itself. So I'd rather stay with like the current stuff, but still get the word out there, the knowledge out there. And I do tell everybody, even with talking to the state biologist, who him and I agree to disagree. There's no hard feelings. I can go to him anytime. We just strongly agree to disagree on the topic. But he will also tell me too that when it comes to sightings in this state, don't call a warden. They're there to enforce the laws of the woods, hunting laws. You need to call your biologist via region. They're the ones to call and contact if you do have a sighting and stuff. And by talking to him, and because I do collect a lot of newspaper articles, you mentioned that earlier, I had some that they didn't, so I shared, and I was actually able to get a list of sightings for the last 100 years, which kind of is incomplete because I had a list of sightings that they had back from 1985 to 1996, and some of those aren't in the complete list that they had sent to me, but it does help with, just to kind of get an idea of how many reports they get, because they do get a lot. And he did tell me straight up, though, if you can't give them an actual location and you say you just saw one on this road, they're most likely not going to check it out because the road could be 20 miles long. It's like looking for a needle in a haystack. They need kind of a precise location to kind of check things out.
Right. And that makes sense. I mean,
it does.
Yeah. Such a large area. Unless you give them a grid mark or some sort of GPS point. I mean, it's impossible, almost impossible, but it would take them a long time to find it. So, Gina, it's been a pleasure having you on again. And I know that going to your Facebook page, there's a lot of information in there. And then if anybody needs to report, get a hold of you. And I'm looking to do a little more traveling this year. So I hope I can start traveling more up north and actually meet you in person, because I've known you now for a little over a year, and I gotta meet you in person. There's so much to talk about.
Yeah, there is. I would love that.
Awesome. Thank you for coming on the show, my friend.
All content on this broadcast is a property of Diego the Podcaster and is served directly from our servers with no modification, redirects, or rehosting. All celebrity impersonators are paid performers. The impersonated celebrities do not endorse or promote any views or opinions expressed by our guests, Diego the Podcaster, or Bonus Overdrive Wednesday. The information shared on Bonus Overdrive Wednesday is provided on an as-is basis, with no guarantees of completeness, accuracy, usefulness, or timeliness.